they're an important tool towards transparency and accountability. So I do feel like it will definitely help. Um, as well, when it comes to using body cameras, I mean, at the end of the day, it's in the best interest of police and civilians, because it's able to provide that safety. When it comes to body cameras for civilians, that way they're able to know that whatever is going on in an encounter, they have something that is documenting everything that's taking place. And then even for the police side of it, it's a case of they have that visual that shows them, okay, this is exactly what took place. Because at the end of the day, technology is advancing. And when it comes to police officers, they started off having dash cams to be able to have that visual of what's taking place. So in terms of having the body cams, that's just a new technology that is able to add to that. So it takes being able to just have a visual of what's happening in the car in front of you and being able to see exactly what's taking place. So I believe that police officers' accountability will definitely be improved by them being able to use body cameras. I believe when it comes to body cameras, it helps to give a calming factor to the public. Because as of right now, it's a case of when an interaction happens with a person, at the end of the day, it becomes your word against my word, and the word of a police officer holds more value. So in having body cameras accessible, it helps to give that a better feeling of security for civilians, because it is a case of they're able to have something that will help their cases. They have something, because at the end of the day, when it comes to videos, they're objective. Exactly what you see is what's taking place. So I believe when it comes to the body cameras, it would be very beneficial for them to have them in Peel and in Ontario as a whole. That way it's able to give that feeling of security to people. I believe that police should be involved. I also do believe that police need some more education on the matter. Because it's a case of when a crisis takes place or when an emergency takes place, we instantly think, okay, let's call the police. So now in this whole situation, that makes the police officer, in being the first responder, it's like basically saying, okay, like they're going in there to be the social worker, they're going in there to be the counselor as well. And we can't expect a police officer to be in that situation and not have the tools to be able to do so. It's also where, in terms of Peel's stance on this, which I believe in February they started up the Mobile Crisis Rapid Response Team, in which they have a police officer stationed with a crisis worker, so that they are able to go into a situation and assess the situations, which I feel like that is a really good step. Because I mean, at the end of the day, police officers are doing what they can, but they're not experts in the matter, and that's where it's really important, I believe, to outfit more cars with crisis workers as well, so that they're able to address the situation better. Yeah. So with that, what I would say, especially when it comes to the crisis, the Mobile Crisis Rapid Response Team, at least from my knowledge so far, is that they only have 2 cars out right now that are doing this, and there's too many cases that are taking place. It's a case of, the Peel police had stated as well that when it comes to police officers dealing with cases of people with mental illness, 40% of those cases are unrelated to criminal contact. So it's a case of people wanting help. And in terms of just having the police officers do that, a lot of the time that means police are taking people that are in crisis, bringing them to the hospital to get evaluated. And sometimes it's not necessarily the case that they have to get to that point. So that's where it's really important to have the crisis workers present with them. So it's a good step that Peel has started to do that. But then for me, the challenge is that they only have 2 cars doing it. So I believe a step that they can do to improve how they address these situations is to get more cars, more mobile teams out there so that they're able to address more of the challenges that are happening. I think when it comes to having police in the schools, there's definitely mixed opinion on it. Where it's a case of they have done surveys in the past, which have basically asked whether students feel safe and they feel comfortable having police there. Um, and the thing with those surveys is that it's never a case of 100% yes, we feel safe. There are cases where students do feel uncomfortable and do feel unsafe having police there. Um, and that's one thing where it's really important, especially when it comes to safety, where everyone's voice is important. So even if it is a case of we have 80% of people that say, hey, yes, I feel safe, but then you have 20% of people that don't feel safe, their voices matter. So it's a case of when it comes to building the relationships, you can definitely see that there is potential for police to be able to build relationships in schools. But that said, if there are students that don't feel safe having them there, that their voices are important.
I feel like they can only be accountable to an extent. I've seen many cases where in the United States they are using body cams and violence against black individuals or minority individuals are still happening, and it just emphasizes more. I want to say like not violence, but I feel like seeing those stuff on social media is kind of like does affect people's mental health, especially racialized individuals seeing stuff like that. So I feel like body cams do keep the police accountable, but to an extent, it all starts at the top. And I feel like even if we do have body cams and stuff like that, like it's the system itself that needs to change, and it's the people that are making the decisions that need to impact what goes on and how things are relayed. Like so, for example, like the video cam might show something, but the person can still not be proven guilty, or there might not be justice served. So I feel like the body cams is an improvement because it makes the citizen feel like, all right, like they're gonna be held accountable. But like to me, I still believe like to like what extent, right? There's still so many factors involved with police brutality or just individuals not feeling safe around police in general. And I don't feel like just because there is a camera placed on their body, it's going to make me feel more safe around them or make me feel more comfortable in general. But in case of like evidence or just to, yeah, just accountability in general, I feel like it is a good move. But like I said, it starts at the top and more change made in the justice system in general. I feel like body cams are a they're not the best response, I believe. There's so much more that we can do. There's policies that can be changed, there's trainings that can be had. I feel like speaking on police department in general, I feel like there's certain things that they need to learn in training, and there's certain types of like thing aspects that need to be included, like diversity in the police department as well. That's the only way that we can sort of feel comfortable when we see somebody of our own, right? And then we can move from there. I feel like there was so much going on, and just saying, okay, we're gonna put cameras on our bodies now is not really the best response, and it doesn't really make me feel like relieved or that much better, because I just feel like there just needs to be things that need to change. Like policies need to change, um, trainings need to change, like the things that they do at the police trainings and even how to become a police officer in general needs to change. Like there's the world is changing, and there's so many things that need to be like included in their trainings. Like as we go on to talk about mental health and stuff, I can like elaborate on that. But just I just feel like the police officers need more training, and they also need like relatability as well. Like if the officers can't relate with you because of the color of your skin or because of your age or how you look, then we're never going to feel comfortable around them. I feel like if they are not trained in any type of mental health aspect, they should not be answering to mental health crisis. I only say that because if somebody's going through a mental health issue as a racialized individual and is being answered by a police officer that they've already seen do many things on social media to people that look just like them, they're not going to feel any safer in that situation. A mental health crisis needs proper mental health support. So, like Devon mentioned before, like, yeah, we need more of those mobile services to be going to answer these calls. And I feel like maybe when individuals are calling 911, just like 911 calls ambulances and stuff like that, when they hear that somebody's been hurt, they need to call the right people to go and answer that call. Maybe, yes, police officers can investigate and ask questions later, but I feel like that does not is not a good addition to their mental health issues or whatever they're going through at that moment. And I feel like they should be handled with care. And I've seen many incidents where police officers do not handle people that are going through mental health crises with care and support. They don't choose to be the way that they are. I feel like it's very sad to see maybe an officer putting so much force or violence on an individual that called to ask for help, right? Yeah, I don't really think they should be answering to mental health crises unless it is part of their training and they are certified to do so. Yeah, so like I said before, I feel like training really needs to be a part of their program. I don't know how individuals become police officers per se, but I feel like a lot of training needs to go into it. Like maybe they need to take some classes in psychology or something that just helps them. Maybe some hands-on experience. Maybe they need to learn. I know at the Boys and Girls Club of Peel, we aren't really trained like too much on mental health, but we do consider that in all of our trainings. Everything that we do, we make sure that we have that relatability and we know that what to do when what happens. I feel like police officers might lack that, or maybe they don't lack it, but they just don't implement it, which is really bad. So I feel like that needs to be done in order for there to be even a change in terms of mental health crises and police officers answering to it, because there's been too many cases where individuals have fallen at the hands of the police because of their mental health, and I feel like that's completely wrong. I feel like sometimes, like I remember in high school, we did have police officers, but even when I was doing nothing wrong, I still felt like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get in trouble. And I feel like that is such a wrong feeling that a student should have. I'm coming to school to learn, to make friends, to enjoy myself, like, and just to live my life. So I like seeing a police officer kind of made me like I don't know, I just have that feeling even if I'm not doing anything at all, anything wrong, I just still feel like I could get in trouble, which is a very negative effect, I guess, that it has on many racialized students. Some officers do engage with students, and I feel like building a connection with the students builds trust, and that's the way that police officers can have a good relationship with students. But if they're just roaming around the halls and not smiling, just looking at us a certain way, it's like we've been automatically criminalized as students. Like sometimes we feel like we're in jail in like in some sense. But the officers that do take that extra step to like maybe say good morning or just smile or hi, stuff like that, it really does open the individual to like want to have a conversation with these police officers, or like, oh yeah, he's a nice guy. But like if they're just standing there, like they just look like they're on guard or on duty, like it feels like, all right, we can get in trouble at any moment, or you don't even want to lie them, you just want to walk straight and just go about, which is really bad. I feel like they need to have more like more conversations or just more relationships or just be more involved, because I know they do just come here and there a few times, and the time that they do come, it's very like it just has a negative impact on racialized students, I would say.
I believe it will increase from what's going on right now because there aren't body cams, I believe, in Canada. But implementing body cams will allow police to be accountable, also civilians as well, because you can see what both parties are doing. But I also agree with my fellow comrades that it does not change their intentions. And I think the intentions of the police officer, or not only the intentions, the mindset of that police officer is very important, because you can walk into a store and there's cameras all over the place, and they're put in place to obviously detect or see anything and everything that's going on. But if somebody walks in that store with the intentions to still steal, they'll find ways to work around those cameras. So I feel like even with the body cam, there's ways to work around it, and it still doesn't exempt the intentions of that officer. But I do feel like it's necessary, and I believe that it will still help. I believe they should be very much involved with adequate training so that they can be effective, because we're still dealing with human beings. The police is a human being, the civilians are human beings, And whenever there's a crisis, you need people who can be effective in that crisis. So, as Devon said and Debra both said, and you said as well, the crisis rapid response unit is a phenomenal resource, yes, but I truly also believe that police need to be trained. It needs to be a part of their training. It needs to be a part of their ongoing training so that when they are called to these responses, because I believe they're going to be called regardless because it's an emergency, right? And they're part of the emergency. They're part of responding. So if they're coming on the scene and if they are paired up with a counselor or a crisis response person, that they are able to also detect and be aware of what's going on with that individual and be able to recognize those irrational behaviors and how to deal with them effectively. Just to reiterate what I said previously, trainings. I truly and strongly believe in trainings, workshops. I strongly believe in counselors, community workers, police, everyone who deal in the community to literally come together and work together to help this community be safe, to help society be safe. Because yes, we have psychologists and counselors, and we have various people that touch on various things. But sometimes in those moments, you can't just call a counselor right away. That's the resource that they go to afterwards if a police is called in a in an emergency situation. But if police are also trained on it, we as Boys and Girls Club worker, me as a youth worker, we've taken like mental health and illness first aid. I've taken courses on mental health and illness in school. I'm not a trained counselor, but I have been equipped with certain tools and skills that can help me respond to a crisis emergency until that person is led to the right resources. And that comes with training, that comes with experience. Um, and the police is a human being. They come into these situations as much as they have on uniforms and equipped with gear and all that stuff. They still have to figure out in their mind what is the next move to make, what is the right move to make. And because there's so much issues going on right now, a lot of the times they make irrational decisions in an irrational environment because they're not equipped with the proper tools. All they're trained to do is see danger and respond to it. I remember being in high school, we had an SRO, we had a police on site, but that's because there was a lot of stuff going on. And that's the thing, they only popped up when there was like fights going on in school. When it was quiet, they weren't there. And I feel like if they're going to be there, to be consistent, keep the same officer, or if you have one or two officers on rotation. And I truly believe in building a relationship. Yes, the police officer may not be able to build a relationship with every single student in that school. And I know they're not there to build a relationship with everybody, but building a rapport allows the students to not walk around in fear or walk around on eggshells because there's a uniform there. I truly believe, and I've witnessed it. I've seen police officers that are on site in various places and they smile. I like what Debra said, even if it's a simple smile, they smile, they engaged, even if it's for 10 seconds. Hi, good morning, how are you? If you have to say that to every single student you see, it's better that you do that because the perception of that student is like, okay, you're just here because something's wrong, or you're here to just wait for something to go down, rather than they're here to ensure the safety of this school. And I'm a human being and you're a human being and I respect you as much as I expect you to respect me as well. So I believe it's necessary and I believe that it can work, but it's up to that officer or officers rather to be respectful, to be engaging and interactive with the students. And just a simple smile. You don't even have to say much. Just a simple smile will make a difference in the schools that you're placed in. I encourage the police department to really take the time to reflect on how things have been handled so far and how they can handle things better moving forward, for the betterment of not only the community, but also themselves as a police department, because there's such a negative stigma on the police department as well as in certain minorities in the community as well. And I feel like if we start to fill those gaps, have these hard conversations, reflect on our own behaviors, not only police, but also civilians, and we work together as a community, we can really have a safer society.